You know 1,000 Chinese words and you still phrase when someone talks to you. And here's the uncomfortable part. More words won't fix it. The problem isn't how many words you know, it's that you use them one at a time. One word and then the next, and then the next. Your brain repeats everything from scratch. Too slow, you phrase. The fix is one shift. Stop thinking in single words. Start thinking in blocks. Store them in blocks and say them in blocks. By the end of the video, you will understand why this is the wall, plus a free pack of blocks to start today. Let's start with what most people do when they get stuck. They learn more words. It makes sense, right? You can't speak, you must be missing something. So you add 50 more words and then 50 more. You feel busy, you feel like you are improving. But here's what actually happens. You can read more, you can recognize more, but you still can't talk. Because reading and speaking are not the same job. When you read, you have time. You see a word, you remember it, you move on. Slow is fine. And when you speak, you have no time. Someone is looking at you. You only have 1 second. And in that 1 second, your brain has to find the right words, put them together, and fix the grammar and say it out loud. More words doesn't make it faster. It makes it heavier. Now you have 1,000 parts to dig through instead of 100. So you could spend another year stacking up words and still phrase at the same wall. You work harder and your speaking doesn't move. That is the trap. So the wall isn't a vocabulary problem, it's a speed problem. To fix that speed, we have to look at how words are stored. Here's the thing I show every stuck learner. Imagine a box of Lego. One box has loose bricks, just bricks dumped in, and the other one has pre-built sections, a wall, a roof, and a window. Now build the house fast. The loose brick box is slow. You snap every piece on one at a time. And the pre-built box is fast. You just grab a section, it's already done. That is the difference between you and a fluent speaker. You stored Chinese words as loose bricks, single words. 我想喝茶, 4 separate pieces. So when you want to say, I want to drink tea, your brain grabs 4 files, opens each one, snaps them together, check the order. That's 4 steps for a tiny sentence. No wonder you are slow. A fluent speaker doesn't do that. They don't store 我想喝茶 as 4 pieces. They store 我想喝茶 as 1. And they grab it whole and it's already built. Watch the difference. The slow way. 我想喝茶, 4 bricks snapping together one by one. And the fast way, 我想喝茶, 1 block already done. Same words, a fraction of the work. This is called a chunk. A chunk is a group of words your brain treats as one piece. And the wild part, you already know the words. You don't need new words. You need to glue the ones you have into blocks. Here's the part almost nobody connects. Thinking in blocks isn't only about storing, it is also how you let your words come out of your mouth. You store a block as one piece, and you say a block as one piece on one breath. Sometimes one block is one breath, a short sentence, 我想喝茶, 1 block, 1 breath, easy. But a longer sentence holds a few blocks. You don't breathe between everyone. You say them on 1 breath with tiny pause between, and the air doesn't stop. 你想喝茶还是水? 1 breath, a tiny pause in the middle, and the air keeps going. You only take a new breath at bigger breaks. For example, 我今天有点累，想喝杯茶提提神. The comma is where you actually stop and breathe. So the shift is 2 steps. First, store the words in blocks, not loose. Second, say a few blocks on 1 smooth breath, pausing lightly between. That is why loose words sound broken.
我想喝茶.
4 words, 4 hard stops. It sounds like a robot, right? And it's exhausting for you and for the listener. Now the same words in 1 block, 我想喝茶, 1 smooth breath, and it sounds like a person. And it's actually easier to say, not harder. You're not learning any new words, you are storing them in blocks and letting a few blocks ride on 1 breath. That is how 1,000 loose parts become real speech. And here's what I love about this. You don't need to be more talented and you don't need to live in China. You just need to stop storing bricks and start storing sections. These words are already yours. Next time when you phrase, don't reach for more words, you have enough. Repackage the ones you've got. Try this today. Take 3 words you actually use, not the textbook words, your words. Glue them into one block, say it on one breath. Love coffee? Then 我想喝咖啡, not the textbook 我想喝茶. Build the blocks you will actually use. Do that with 10 blocks and your speaking changes more than 200 new words ever could. To start you off, I made a free pack of the most useful spoken blocks, the ones that come up again and again. Think of them as templates, swap in your own words, make each block yours. It's in the description. But there's a still question hiding there. You can store the chunks, you can breathe them, so why does real Chinese still sound like a blur when the real native speaker talks fast? That is the skill no app can teach you, and that is where we go next time. 我们下次见。